In our video on real-world formatting, we took a brief look at how to use borders to add some pizzazz and style to our cells. Now we're going to have a more in-depth look at how to work with borders. The first thing we should remember is that the grid lines that you see on the worksheet don't print. Just to prove this, I'm going to type some stuff in this top cell, and then we're going to go to Backstage View, where we can get to Print Preview to see what this looks like. Backstage View is what you get when you click on the File tab. Here you are. Welcome to Backstage View. Now we'll go down here and click on the Print option, and here you can see a print preview of our document with our stuff in the top left-hand corner. No grid lines to be seen anywhere. Now to get out of Backstage View, we're going to go back up to the Home tab, and I'm just going to click on Stuff again and add a border to this whole thing. Now here's the Borders button. If you click the drop-down arrow, you'll see all the presets here to add some borders around whatever you have selected. In this case, I just want to use an outside border around the cell that I have selected. And then we're going to do a print preview again. Back to the File tab, down to Print, and here you can see that we have a black border now around my stuff. All right, back to the Home tab. I'm going to clear this cell by going over here to the Clear button and just choosing Clear All. Now I'm going to turn off the grid lines so that we can have a better demonstration of how borders work. There's two ways to do that. We could go to the View tab and uncheck the Grid Lines checkbox here, or we could do the same thing from the Page Layout tab. Here we have a View checkbox, and that same checkbox is right there. So either way, just uncheck the box, and now your grid lines are turned off. Now if you're wondering about this dotted line that comes here between I and J, you're going to see this every time you exit Print Preview, because if you ever print this document, that'll be the right edge of your printed page. It doesn't print, but it's there to just let you know where the boundaries are for that page. Okay, next we're going to just take a random selection of cells right here, and I'm going to put some fill color on that. We'll just paint that yellow just so we can keep track of it. Now you know that the outside edge of the active cell always displays with a dark border around it, but you also know that that doesn't print. It goes away as soon as you click someplace else, and now that someplace else has that dark border. What we want to do is apply a permanent black border to the outside edge of this selection. To do that, we're going to click the drop-down arrow here and just choose one of the presets. How about a thick box border? When you apply a border, it applies it to whatever you have selected at the time. So in this case, it applied it to the entire outside edge of my selection. If I choose some cells on the inside here and apply that same command, it'll put a border around the outside edge of this selection. Now I don't have to click the drop-down arrow here again because the last option I chose from the list is now on the face of the button, and I can just click right here on the face of the button to apply that. Now there you can see that on the inside. I can click on a single cell. Here's the keyboard shortcut F4 to repeat the last thing that I did, which of course was apply this outside border. And there it is. Now how do we get rid of these borders? Well, let's start from the inside and work out. Let's say that I just wanted to get rid of this border right here. I just click on it, click the down arrow next to the Borders button and choose No Border. And that erases that border. How about if I wanted to get rid of the outside border on the way outside and leave the inside? It all has to do with the selection. I'd want to select just this top row here because Excel will treat the top part of this selection as a separate entity from anything else. And click the No Borders button. See how it removes that? Now I'll select this part right here because I want to get the right edge of this selection. And just hit the No Border button. And then I'll come down here and do the same thing here. No borders. I could be using F4 on the keyboard to make quick work of this. Here's F4 to get rid of that. If you'd like to remove borders from everything in your worksheet, use the Select All button and then just apply all borders to the entire worksheet. Now let's select this range of cells again, and we've seen that there's a big list of presets here, including bottom double border, thick bottom border. There's a whole bunch of stuff here that you can use that's pretty standard. But what if you really want to express your artistic flair? Maybe you want to have something really special for your borders. Well, you can use the Draw Borders option to, well, you can express yourself until you're blue in the face. Here's how it works. First off, you set up a line color. Let's choose red. As soon as you make a choice here, you'll see a grid work appear in the background that's just a visual cue that you're now working with a special tool, the Draw Borders button. Secondly, you can see that your mouse pointer is turned into a pencil. We're going to go back up and grab another option. Now we've already changed the line color. Now let's change the line style. And we're going to use this dashed style right here. So whatever I draw with the mouse now is going to be red and dashed. So let's just put a border around the entire selection. Now when I release the mouse, I commit myself to what I've just drawn. If I want to continue to use that same red dashed arrangement, I'll just grab the tool, hold the mouse button down, and drag. Now I'm not going to release the mouse button this time because I want to show you that if I keep the button held down, I have lots of flexibility here. I can just continue to work with this, moving it around until it's exactly the way I want it to be, maybe just right there. And when I release the mouse, that's when it commits and draws all the borders that I have selected. You can mix and match borders this way. How about if I want to go back now to a blue color and maybe use a solid line? Well, how about a thick solid line? Now anything I draw is going to take on those characteristics. So I'll just draw a single border right there and a single border right here. When you're finished working with the button, you can just click the drop-down arrow and click Draw Border again to turn off the grid work and return your pointer back to a regular selection tool. I'm going to clear all the borders from the worksheet once again by clicking the Select All button and then choosing No Borders from the drop-down list. Then I'll reselect this range of cells again. Sometimes you might want to put borders around every individual cell inside a selection. For that, you're going to use the All Borders button. There are very few things that you can't do with this Borders button as far as creating borders, but there may come a time whenever you need more finite control over your borders. Let's take a look at how that would work by first clearing all the borders and then selecting this range of cells. Click the drop-down arrow next to the Borders button and go clear to the bottom and choose More Borders. This opens the Format Cells dialog box to the Border tab. Now the way we'll interpret this is this little block right here represents the selected range of cells. Anything that you do here in this preview will be played out in the selection that you have in the worksheet. So if you wanted to put an outline around the entire edge of the preview, you're going to see that played out when you get back out into the worksheet. So we'll click OK, click away from the selection, and there's your outside border. Now I'll reselect the same thing again, and we're going to go back into the dialog box again. More borders. Let's say that I wanted to put a red border on the top and a red border on the bottom. I'll change the color here to red, and then I have to replace the existing border. Now I can either do that by clicking right on the existing border, or I can choose this border button over here on the left-hand side. That replaces the border that's there with the color and the style that I have chosen. I'm going to do the same thing here by just clicking right on the border itself. I might look that over and say, you know what, I'd really rather have a double border, and we'll just replace those borders again by clicking on them. When we click OK, we'll find that the entire selection in the worksheet now reflects what I've done in the preview. Click OK, click away from the selection. It's a little hard to see, but yep, there's a double border there, and it is red. Now, why would you need to go into this dialog box? Well, let's see if we can't set up a scenario. We're going to select all these cells right here, and I'm going to use the All Borders option here. This replaces any borders that have been applied to my selection at the time, including the red double border that I had at the top and the bottom. So if I wanted to put those back in, I could select my range of cells, go back up here and choose More Borders, and then work with this preview right here. Now remember, the preview is a reflection of whatever I have selected. So I can go back here and change my color again, go back over here to my double line, and just replace this top border right here, and click here to replace this bottom border right here, leaving all the inside borders the way they are. Click OK, and there you have it. All right, let's see what we're looking like in Print Preview now. We're going to go back up to File and into Backstage View, click the Print button, and here you can see that the borders are printing quite nicely, just like that.